6.5 miles below the surface of the sea is a tough place to be if you're claustrophobic. I went in with fairly low expectations for underwater. So did the movie match what I thought? A deep-sea drilling team is in the Mariana Trench, almost 7 miles below the surface of the ocean. Through what is presumed to be an earthquake, the team has to get to safety, and as they're doing so, they encounter some things. Now, with almost 80% of the world's oceans unexplored, it's no wonder that there may be things that go bump in the deep. Kristen Stewart stars in this deep-sea thriller along with T.J. Miller, Vincent Cassel, John Gallagher Jr., Mamoudou Athie, and Jessica Henwick. There are a few things that I want to address right off the bat. First is that yes, this does feel a little bit like Alien. I mean, there's no getting around it. There are just with them, with their suits, with the lights going through the dark, you have several people trying to get from one place to another in a very tight space, or, that they don't know what's out there, and there seems to be danger all around. In Alien, there's the space part of that without oxygen. It's like it's sucked out. Well, in the bottom of the ocean, there's no oxygen either. But even though it does feel a little like Alien, and you can tell that they are making a nod to it, like they are saying, hey, thanks for doing what you did so that we can now make this, I didn't feel like they were trying to copy it or trying to rip it off. Now, some of the scientific or technical aspects of this don't make a lot of sense to me. And some of it, maybe I'm just totally overthinking. Actually, I probably am overthinking it a lot. But in the ocean, at that depth, they even talk about it in like little scrolling and words as the movie is beginning, just to kind of set us up for what we're about to experience. That's how we know that it's in the Mariana Trench, that it's, it's super deep, that it's this drilling team. And there's a line in there that says something like there's 8 tons of pressure per square inch at that depth. Maybe that's not totally accurate, but just there's a lot of pressure down there, and especially when you're way down in that super deep trench. I think it's the deepest trench in the world's oceans. That yes, it is going to be just crushing like that. Well, they have these suits that are steel, or they're whatever they are. I mean, they're pressurized. They look sturdy, they look hardy, they don't look like they could be crushed by something. But with those suits, there are articulating points in their joints, like in their elbows, in their knees, at their hips, their shoulders, that aren't all steel. It's kind of a rubberized material, or at least what it looks like rubberized. And so, to me, that's a weak point. That at that point, it would be crushed because it's not filled with liquid. I mean, I don't know if you've seen The Abyss, but in there they talk about that the only way to keep from being crushed at such depths is to have your suit filled with liquid. In this case, they use liquid oxygen. Well, in underwater, they don't do that. There's just air in there. And so it looks like some vulnerabilities with the suit. There's one other thing in this where it didn't bother my family, but it did bother me a little bit. And it's just kind of an incomplete transition of a scene, where a scene starts out and it's going and you kind of see where it's going, and then all of a sudden it's a little bit resolved and we're seeing the aftermath of that scene. But for me personally, I wanted to see just a little bit more in that transition part. I'm being very vague because I don't want to talk about certain things just to give you the full experience as you're watching it. But just know that there are a couple of times throughout the film where a scene is happening, some action is going, and then it cuts to the next scene and we see them exiting, or we see them walking, or we see them doing something. So we know that they made it, that they accomplished their goal, however you want to phrase that. But I wanted to see the part that was inside, because there was some tense moments related to that. And I wanted to see how that all resolved, not just the aftermath. Does that make sense? Again, though, I could be totally overthinking it. It could be completely irrelevant to your enjoyment of the film. This isn't something that hampered the enjoyment of the film for me. From almost the very beginning of the film, the tension, the action, the anxiety, the thrills all start up. And it doesn't let up for the most part. There's really only one small part toward the end of the film where the pace, the tension, they take a pause, where there's not nothing happening, but there's not really a lot of action going on in this one little scene. And for me, I didn't want it to stop. I was already on this non-stop roller coaster ride of just go, 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 go action that I didn't want to be, take a pause for a second to then jump back into it. I wanted to just keep me going, just push the pedal to the metal and let's go, because for the last hour or so, you've been driving me this way and I've been enjoying it. And when I'm talking about this, I don't mean that the pace of the film is rushed. I didn't feel like it was just paced poorly. It was just the action was there. It kept me going. It ramped me up. It excited me, and it made me tense and made me a little nervous and put me on the edge of my seat. And I didn't want that part of it to stop at any point in time until the credits rolled. The story in this movie is very simple. It boils down to somebody has to get from point A to point B, and they need to survive. That's it. But honestly, I didn't want any more. The crux of the movie comes, can they do it? Can they get there amidst all the obstacles that are going to get in their way? Now, Kristen Stewart does keep some of her stoic mannerisms that she's known for, but she surprised me. I really liked her in this. I mean, I found her to be engaging. I found her to be sympathetic, and I enjoyed watching her do her thing on the screen. There are some things at the bottom of the ocean. They are impressive and they surprised me. That's as much detail as you're going to get about it, because you just have to enjoy the film and be surprised. But I gotta say that at the beginning of the film, we don't see a lot of these things. And I liked that. It built some intrigue. It built a little bit of mystery. I'm glad, though, that by the end we get to see more, because it helped to form just a better opinion of some of the other imagery that I saw, where at first I thought, oh, that might be a little cheap, or that, I don't think I like that. Towards the end, I was like, ooh, that was really cool. I'm thank you for showing me the rest of it, because now I can applaud your creativity. Then there's another surprise towards the end, and it's pretty impressive. Now, the sound in this was really fun. You hear these creaks and these thuds and these explosions, and as this earthquake is going on and this drill is just having all of its problems, and the entire underwater space station, it's an underwater sea station. Maybe it's not a space station, but it's a station. It's an underwater station. We'll go with that. Talking is hard sometimes. But as it is suffering destruction in certain parts, you get to hear all of these cool sounds. And so seeing it in the theater, hearing it in the theater with a really good surround sound system was fun. I think unless you have a really good surround sound system at home, you are going to lose some of that. And so you're not going to get the full just effect of all of the different sound effects that they were employing. Is it going to hamper the enjoyment much? I don't think it will, but seeing it in the theater with all of that, it enhanced it. I ended up having a lot of fun with this, despite some of the technical stuff that I mentioned at the beginning. Now, maybe some of that is due to that I went in with a fairly low expectation of the film, but overall, it was a tense, exciting, fun ride. There's no sex or nudity. There is some profanity and violence. I give Underwater 3.5 out of 5 couches. So would you ever go deep sea diving? I mean, like really deep sea diving, where you have to have a pressurized suit and all of that. Is that something that you'd do? I'm not sure if I could. I think the fear of being crushed to death would just prevent me from doing that. But if you would, let me know in the comments below. Or if you've already done something like that, let me know in the comments below too. I'd love to know about the experience. If you enjoyed this review, please give it a like. Also, don't forget to share and subscribe. I'm Chris. This is Movies and Munchies. Thanks for catching with me.